What's happening, everybody? So I know some of you guys like the behind the scenes type videos, so I'm going to bring you guys behind the scenes just a little bit. I am getting this 6.4 liter Hemi Scat Pack intake ready for porting. You can see where I've taped up some areas where I don't want any dust to get into. One of the things I want to share with you guys, if you decide to get your intake manifold ported, things that can happen in shipping, the plastic can get chipped. It's not at all uncommon up here by where the PCV goes into the manifold, or back here where the map sensor bolts onto the manifold. Don't be surprised if you get a call from the guy that's porting your manifold and says, hey, guess what? This is how it showed up. This kind of stuff just happens. It's plastic. So if you get chipped, most of the time the porters will go in there and they'll just try to clean that up so you don't cut your finger while you're working on it or while you're installing it. So anyway, what I wanted to bring to you guys was some things that I noticed different about this manifold than an older casting. This is a manifold cast in 2021. The other manifold that I had worked on, at least the molds, were from 2014, and there are some differences that I've noticed. The first big thing that I noticed is the fact that the throat, where the throttle body bolts to the manifold right here, one of the things that I noticed about that is that it's significantly larger than the throat on the older manifold. This newer 2021 casting had an opening of about 84 millimeters, which is about 2 millimeters larger than the older intake manifold. I found that to be very interesting. It basically means that I don't have to remove near as much material. But another thing that I noticed is I use a Dr. Differential and Speed billet 85 millimeter throttle body to port to when I'm putting one of these manifolds together. And a lot of times when I bolt that throttle body up to the throat, what ends up happening is I end up having to remove more material from one side than another, and that's usually just because of how the things center on that opening. Well, in this case, the throttle body, when I bolted it onto the manifold, it was very uniform all the way around, and it was just a tiny amount of ledge there. It basically, more or less like a millimeter all the way around, which is, again, significantly less material than what I had to remove on these older 6.4 liter manifolds. Another thing that I noticed is, you can't really, if you're used to seeing these manifolds, this might jump right off the page. If you guys are used to seeing these newer castings, this may not be any news to you, but on the inside, so on the lower portion of that runner right there, the interesting thing about this is right here on this face of that port, this is a lot cleaner than what I would see on an older manifold. I don't have an unported older manifold to share with you, but the main thing is that it is a lot cleaner transition, and I'm not going to have to remove as much material to shape that part of the runner where it basically mounts and faces the intake port to the cylinder head. So that's a good thing too. The big thing I'm going to have to do, though, is remove a lot of casting flash from this manifold. This thing had to have been the first one out of the mold because it is nothing but sharp edges. As a matter of fact, you can see and you can't really see this on video, but you can see practically every parting mark on this thing where it had come out of the mold. One thing I want to show you guys, I'm not even going to stop. So I literally just cut my freaking thumb on this ledge right here. This ledge is about 1 millimeter. And if you run your thumb across it with any force, you will cut it. And so I will be grinding that out. That was a pretty good one there. Already bleeding on the thing. So anyway, I guess that's about it. I'm going to wrap it up here. Just know that there are some differences with the newer manifold, at least with this casting, than there were with the older ones, and they're good. It's just that this one does have a lot of casting flash, so I'm going to have to remove from the runners a lot of sharp edges, a little bit of core shift, which comes with the territory with these things. But at any rate, I'm going to get started on this thing, and y'all have a great one. I will catch you guys on the next one. That is a wrap. Adios.